Hello, everyone. This is Wade Franson, host of Created in the Image of God, the Role of Religion in Society. I am here in a sneak peek recording with a prominent British personality who rose to that prominence in politics, oh gosh, a decade ago now, has written 2 books, and has since exited politics and has a new version of a previous book in defense of democracy coming out on July 4th, which is unusual because July 4th is the Independence Day from that same entity. Welcome to the studio, Anne Marie Waters.
Hi, Wade. How are you?
I'm doing great. So for those who may not have said, what is he talking about? America was a former British colony
Yeah.
who rebelled and declared independence. And you're publishing your book in defense of democracy, which you published in a hardback version November 2020 to coincide with the previous election. And here we are in the morning after. We're all hungover from that presidential debate last night between the 2 candidates, Donald Trump and Joe Biden, in which they didn't, either one, in my opinion, acquit themselves very well, rather slinging mud and childish taunts about who can drive a golf ball further, which is relevant given age and all that. But nonetheless, it was embarrassing and perhaps not the kind of leadership that we need. What are your thoughts about all this?
Well, I think I agree with you. I wouldn't. I probably didn't think it wasn't the worst performance I've seen from either of them, but it's alarmingly low in policy. It's low in philosophy. It's low in intelligence. And I say exactly the same thing about British politicians. We have debates going on here too. Same thing.
Well, John Lennon famously said in his song Watching the Wheels Go Wrong, I no longer, he was criticized of no longer playing the game. You no longer play the game directly of British politics. You exited it, and you've declared you were invited to come speak at a major rally. You declined recently. So what's going on with you in your personal life? You're still writing. You're writing more now than ever. What's up with Anne Marie Waters these days?
Well, like you say, I'm writing. I want to focus on that. I want to focus on that for some time. I've got some things, different things going on in my personal life. I'm doing some acting, which is something I've always wanted to do. I'm almost going through my bucket list. And I don't know if you use that phrase in America. A list of things you want to do before you die. Well, not that I have no plans to die anytime soon. But so I'm sort of doing some. I'm doing some theatre. I've always wanted to fly a plane. I have booked myself a flying lesson, although the weather hasn't allowed it to begin so far. So I'm looking after myself a little bit. I've got 2 elderly dogs. I want to spend a bit of time with them. Politics sends you traveling all the time. I don't want to be away from my dogs when they're old for too long. So I'm just doing me things, but I'm focusing a lot on writing, and I would like to become a much better writer, become a much more, develop my thoughts a lot more over the coming years, and sort of sit back and observe. I feel that my fate and my destiny are somehow in politics, but I don't think. I'm only 46. I've got some time. And I think I will
based on current candidates, you've got at least 40 years, before you can run for. Well, you couldn't run for American president anyway, not being born here. I'm an underachiever myself, having been born in Canada. I knew I could never become president.
No.
However, but what's the point? Why write? What do you hope to accomplish for the betterment of society or the world with your writing?
I feel that I have, and I think over years, I seem to see things that a lot of people don't see. I see that communism is a hugely influential in the Western world, and I don't see anyone. And I could sit here all day and tell you why. Give you examples of how and why and where communism is rearing its head, but people don't seem to see it. I trained as a lawyer, and I have a sort of an ability to pick out flaws in other people's arguments. I recognize BS very quickly and very easily, and I think that I have a duty to share those thoughts with other people, just in case they're thinking them too. And it's good for people to know that, you know, it's good for us to express ourselves, but it's also good when someone else expresses what we're thinking. And I think I have a duty to share my thoughts with people, because there are people, I've no doubt, who think the same way that I do. And on a personal level, I would like to achieve. Of course, I would. I'm a human being. I'd like to look back on my life and be proud of what I've done. So far, I am. I'd like that to continue, and I'd like to verbalize my thoughts and to communicate them with people who feel the same way, and would feel less isolated by knowing that they're not alone in their thinking. I think that's really important. Many people don't speak up because they don't hear anyone else saying it. That's to the detriment of our democracy too.
It evokes that wonderful child story, that wonderful parable, The Emperor's New Clothes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Anne-Marie, for being
Thank
willing
you.
to point out what you see, share your perspective, and in that sense, encourage independent thinking and independent thought. That is one of the basic principles of the faith that I adhere to, the Baha'i faith, the independent investigation of truth. And with all the sharing of information that has gone on in the last decades, we do see the rise of information control and the massive efforts to spin that information and get people to believe what they're being told, to buy what other people are selling.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's very apt, actually, because it is a business. And the more the media gets us, the more the mainstream commercial media gets us to read, and the more frightened they make us, and the more outlandish the news, quote unquote, they tell us, the more we tune in. And the more money they make. And that I think has and the fact that there's 24-hour news now has largely impacted the quality and the accuracy of what is published. They're filling 24 hours, and they're filling a lot of it with nonsense. And it's having a very, very negative impact on us as individuals and on our society as a democracy.
Yeah, it used to be that fact checking was valuable because there might have been 2 or 3 inaccuracies in a given, let's say, presidential debate, and those could then be talked about. But when there's just a flood of exaggerations and mischaracterizations and misrepresentations and overstatements and, you know, false equivalencies and double standards and just nonsense, where do you even begin to unpack that?
Yeah, this is not the caliber of debate one would expect when the winner is the leader of the free world. That's frightening. That's frightening.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Anne-Marie, for having written in defense of democracy and done so in 2020 before January 6th. The paperback and the Kindle version are being released on July 4th, and we'll be recording a program that will be aired on July 16th on the Created Image of God at 8 p.m. Central. You want to be there. You don't want to miss it. For more Anne-Marie Waters.